Have you ever pondered how much of your life is determined by your habits, the small decisions and actions you perform daily? Well, you might be surprised to learn that these seemingly trivial aspects of your routine can shape the trajectory of your life in profound ways. Imagine for a moment if you were to make a minor 1% improvement in your daily habits. It does not sound like much, does it? But over time, these fractional enhancements accumulate and compound, leading to significant growth and progress. The power of good habits is much like a snowball rolling down a hill, gathering momentum and size with each revolution. On the flip side, poor habits can lead you astray from your desired path, much like a ship veering off course due to a slight compass error. Indeed, the power of habits is immense, with each habit serving as a cog in the machinery of your life. But how do habits form? What's the secret mechanism behind them? At the heart of habit formation, there's a simple yet powerful loop. This loop starts with a cue, something that triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. Following the cue is a craving, which is the motivational force behind every habit. Then comes the response, the actual habit you perform. The loop is completed with a reward, which is the end goal of every habit. Now, the more this loop of cue, craving, response, and reward is repeated, the stronger the habit becomes. Imagine a river carving a canyon. The more water that flows, the deeper and more defined the canyon. Just so, the repeated cycle of cues, cravings, responses, and rewards deepens our habits, making them second nature. Understanding this habit loop is your first step towards habit mastery. Now that we understand the habit loop, how can we harness it? The first law of habit formation is make it obvious. This law is all about awareness and intention. Before making improvements, we must be aware of our current habits. Ask yourself, what are the routines that shape my daily life? Setting clear intentions is the next step. Instead of vaguely deciding to read more, for example, be specific. Say, I'll read for 20 minutes at 7 p.m. in my favorite chair. This specificity makes your intention clear and actionable. But how do we remember to act on these intentions? Enter the concept of cues. Cues are triggers for our habits. They can be anything from a location, a time of day, or even a preceding action. Recognizing and creating powerful cues can help us build and sustain our desired habits. So remember, clarity and cues indeed are the driving forces of habit formation. The second law of habit formation is, make it attractive. Now, why should a habit be attractive, you might ask? Cue in the motivation chemical, dopamine. It's not just about the satisfaction we get from completing a task, it's the anticipation of that satisfaction that gets us going. The dopamine surge that comes from the sheer joy of anticipation is a powerful motivator. So how can we make our habits more enticing? Here's a clever trick: temptation bundling. Combine a task you need to do with something you love to do. Say, listen to your favorite podcast while doing the dishes. Suddenly the chore isn't so dull anymore. Another effective strategy is leveraging group dynamics. Surround yourself with those who are living the habits you want to adopt. Their influence can indeed make the behavior more appealing. Making habits irresistibly appealing is the second step towards habit mastery. The third law of habit formation is make it easy. In the grand scheme of habit formation, repetition is king. It's not about the magnitude of your actions, rather it's about the consistency. It's the repeated action, day in and day out, that strengthens the neural pathways in our brains, making the habit automatic over time. Now, let's talk about minimizing resistance. Simplifying your habits is a game changer. Imagine having a book on your nightstand. You're more likely to read it simply because it's within arm's reach. The easier a habit is to start, the more likely you are to repeat it. And here's a gem, the 2-minute starter pack. Break down your habits into 2-minute tasks. Want to read more? Start by reading just one page. Over time, these 2-minute starters will naturally extend into the full habit. Simplifying habits to integrate them seamlessly is the third step towards habit mastery. The fourth and final law of habit formation is make it satisfying. This law simply states that if we want to make a habit stick, we need to make it satisfying. It's all about the reward balance. Think of it as your own personal seesaw. On one side, you have the effort of the habit, and on the other, the reward. The heavier the reward, the easier it is to tip the balance in favor of the habit. Now, how do we make a habit satisfying? One way is by celebrating small wins. It's not always about the big finish line, it's the small victories along the way that make the journey meaningful. Use visual cues like habit trackers to mark progress and celebrate these little wins. Another powerful tool is making a habit contract. It's like making a pact with yourself, a promise that you're committed to this habit. It adds a sense of accountability and satisfaction. Lacing habits with rewards to ensure they stick is the final step towards habit mastery. As we conclude, remember that habit building is about crafting a delightful journey with clear steps. We've journeyed through the 4 laws of habit formation and their key takeaways. First, we learned to make our intentions obvious. Clear cues and a detailed plan are the foundations of successful habits. Second, we discovered the power of allure. By making habits enticing, we invite the motivational force of dopamine into our daily routines. Then we explored the importance of ease. Habits are about repetition over time, and simplifying them helps integrate them seamlessly into our lives. Finally, we understood the significance of satisfaction, celebrating every step of habit building, infusing good habits with mini rewards, and tracking progress inject joy into the process. Habit mastery isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about dedication, persistence, and the application of these 4 laws. With these laws in hand and a commitment to improve, you're set for success in your journey of habit mastery.